fantasy champions. Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network. Do you like the Oakland A's? Are you a fan of the Golden Knights? Do you love the Los Angeles Chargers? Well then, my friend, you're in the right place. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show with your host, Jake the Snake Silva, brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network.
Broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and you can also follow us on Instagram just by going to the Spotlight Sports Network and finding the Snake Sports Talk Show. We are on the road to 400 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of your guys' love and support, and I do appreciate every single one of your guys' likes, comments, and subscriptions. I really do appreciate it, guys. I can't begin to tell you how busy of the last couple of days it has been. We've got hockey playoffs going on. We got NBA playoffs going on. Baseball, of course, has been going on. And not to mention, too, we've had at least a couple of different sports going on. Golf, the boxing, UFC, lots and lots of sports to really kind of dig into. But I'm very glad to be here with all of you guys on this Monday night. I know it's been kind of hectic, especially with the way that the weather has been outside here in the Vegas Valley. But first and foremost, I am just very glad to be here with you guys tonight. And I can't wait to end up breaking everything down. My goodness, what a great game it was last night for the Golden Knights and for the Montreal Canadiens. So I want to start with that. So the NHL playoffs is now officially on the they are officially in basically the Stanley Cup semifinals. This is the first year that this is even happening in the NHL. And it's been really good. It's been very, very good all to this point. And tonight we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders. That series is tied. It's been really, really good. Ryan Pulock ends up pulling off one of, I think, arguably the best blocked save that we've seen all throughout the playoffs. And this is when Varlamov is out of his net. And I was very impressed with it. But I want to talk about the series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Vegas Golden Knights. For me, living here my entire life in Las Vegas, all 26 years, this has been my hometown. And I have bounced around from different communities and different parts, from little bits of Boulder, of Boulder Highway, just a little bit more north of the city of Henderson, and a lot of other places. And I currently reside here in Henderson, and I love it here. So I want to talk about what last night gave you for the Golden Knights and the Canadiens. Because I'll be honest with you, I think this series should have gone 3-1. We all know this. All over social media, the news, everywhere here. I mean, it's bombarded here in Las Vegas. It's absolutely bombarded. You couldn't go one day without hearing news about the Golden Knights, especially after the Game 3 performance. You couldn't. It was all over the place. Marc-Andre Fleury this, Marc-Andre Fleury that. let me tell you what last night gave you. First of all, because a lot of people seem to still not understand why it's the smartest thing in hockey, especially for a franchise, to have two really good goaltenders on their side. Marc-Andre Fleury is the best of the best. We know that. Spent long years, won 3 Stanley Cups, could be on the road to winning a 4th in Vegas maybe, but only time will tell. He's the best of the best. Robin Lehner, and what people seem to forget and realize, because they seem to revert back to his Buffalo days, which is long past him. He started up in Ottawa, Buffalo, then to New York, then to Chicago, ends up in Vegas. Robin Lehner last night gave you a piece of why he's there. And I thought it was classic. It was exactly what answered everybody's questions. And it answered everybody's comments and critics. And in fact, he ended up explaining why his performance mattered to him so much. That the fact that people were criticizing and doubting and, of course, sharing harsh words on Twitter, which who doesn't? Everybody shares harsh words on Twitter. That's really ultimately what that social media grid is all about. It's poking the bears until you get into somebody's skin. But he acknowledged that game last night and said, hey, this is motivation for me. Keep it coming. You could continuously criticize me, but I will play my game of hockey and I will do what must be done to winning a game. Everybody criticized. This was only his 3rd start in this playoff run. And what's interesting about this is that I don't need Lehner to be like Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't need him to be great. Think about it this way. In the NFL, in the playoffs, look at what happened with the Kansas City Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes went down. Did I need Chad Henne to be Patrick Mahomes? No, because I have a really good coach in Andy Reid, one of the best play designers. So all I needed you to be was a quarterback to execute plays and get us back into the game. It's very simple. The New Orleans Saints, 2 years ago, they had Teddy Bridgewater when Drew Brees went down. What did he do in the last 5 weeks? He went 5-0, went undefeated. People thought, is Teddy Bridgewater going to be the replacement? No. He was not going to replace Drew Brees because there won't be another Drew Brees. There won't be. But he was serviceable. Robin Lehner is probably one of the best serviceable goaltenders you can even ask for as a franchise. What has he done for the Golden Knights? I will break it down to you. Because a lot of people, especially when it comes to Golden Knights Nation, comes to a lot of people in the Vegas Valley, and I'm sure hockey fans around the world and even nationwide. But let me tell you why he's probably the best serviceable goaltender. And he's doing Fleury a favor. The first time he started with the Minnesota Wild, gave Marc-Andre Fleury a rest. Plays game 1 against the Colorado Avalanche. Gives Fleury rest, but here's the other thing. I made a comment and said that this is all experimenting their first line. And people say, Jake, you're crazy. There's no time for experimenting. This is the playoffs, baby. We don't have time to experiment. That's not what I'm talking about. Pete DeBoer was smart enough to see how this first line reacts and how they play, their speed, their style. And then what did they do from the stretch of games 2 through 6? They managed to beat Colorado. They may have dropped game 2 in overtime, but then won 4 straight. That was all part of the plan because they wanted to see how McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen were going to mesh. and how that line is so productive. And it worked. They slowed them down. They played harder defense. They blocked shots. And Marc-Andre Fleury was doing what he does best behind net. It was a tied series going into Montreal. The Golden Knights had a 2-1 advantage with 1:30 left before Fleury made the mistake off his skate. Yes, mistakes happen to the best of us. That's just what it is. But ultimately, because a lot of people wanted to throw Fleury under the bus, but people didn't get it. Yes, it was a mistake by Fleury, but that doesn't mean that he's terrible goaltending. So Robin Lehner had to come in for game 4, and people freaked out. They're like, oh my God, he's starting. Have you seen what happened? He lost against the Colorado Avalanche 7-1. He gave up so many goals. He was doing Marc-Andre Fleury a favor. Came in, told him take a rest, refocus, reshape your mind. And then when you come back in game 5 at home tomorrow on Tuesday night, I'm going to be calling that game. You're in front of your fans. You're in the fortress. You're at home. Smile, laugh, have fun. That's all I want. That's all we want. And Leonard did his job last night. Do you even know why the Golden Knights even signed him for 5 years? The reason they signed him is because he is a hell of a serviceable goaltender. Vegas could not do this with Malcolm Subban. Absolutely not. They couldn't do this with Maxime Lagacé. Young kid just doesn't have all the right tools, but he's building upon it. They couldn't do this with anybody else. Because here's the thing. Fleury's not going to play forever. Of course, there's going to come a time where he's going to retire. But at least Robin Lehner will be there at that time. And then they're going to straighten up their farm system. They're going to build up their next couple goaltenders because you have Dylan Ferguson and then you have that kid Thompson. That's what they're going to do. That's all part of the plan from here. And listen, I can't see the future, but if I'm looking at it from an ownership and general managing standpoint, that's the reason why. It's not taking Fleury's place. Fleury's the reason the Golden Knights are even in here. But all I have to say is for tomorrow night, calling the game, the only people that I put not necessarily on the grill, but on the spotlight that really needs to step up is the first through 3 lines. The second line has produced more than the first and third. Pacioretty's sliding all over the place. Stone is doing all that he can, but still not showing aggressive offense. I know Chandler Stevenson's out, but that's no excuse. You're paid top dollars because you score goals. You are aggressive at offense. You lead this team by example, and that's what you are paid to do. That's what they need to go into for tomorrow. But I guarantee you, Fleury will be back in net, and all Leonard's doing this. All he's basically saying is this. Hey, I did my part. You're coming back home. Smile, have fun, do your thing. And let's win this game in 6. That is the motive. It's a team sport. People tend to forget that. What exactly is the plan? What exactly is the process moving forward? I'm seeing this. It's so obvious. You could see it beyond your very eyes. It's not rocket science. This is what the Golden Knights are looking to do. And I guarantee you that when this works and they pan through, they make it to the final, this is going to be Vegas's time to win the cup. It would be exactly that reason. Because it's a team effort. Nobody's giving up, but they have to show up. That's the only way that I could tell you Vegas will win the cup. All right, so I know a lot of people have been blasting all over on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere, all throughout the NBA playoffs. And they've been really, really good. And by the way, I do see Jamar Games. Congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks beating the Philadelphia 76ers and making it into the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in 6 years, second time in 50, all together as a franchise. And here's what's so interesting about all four teams that are represented. The Clippers are weird. Kawhi Leonard doesn't speak a whole lot. Not to mention, he's going to be out again for game 2. So we don't know what the timetable is going to be for Kawhi Leonard. And Paul George is doing all that he can to last through the series before he gets back. Phoenix is such a young team, but what doesn't make sense is how they are such a good come-from-behind team. Like in 7 minutes, they come back from behind and they win games. They're such a young core team. I don't understand it. And they're doing this without Chris Paul at the moment, who's come down with COVID. And I'm hoping that he stays healthy. I hope he gets healthy fast. But it's unheard of. And then you've got Milwaukee with Giannis, Chris Middleton, and a lot of these other players. And they shined. They outlasted Brooklyn. And then you have Atlanta. Trae Young, Clint Capella, young stars. They've got a reliable shooter. That's what Atlanta has. But the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm going to have Darion Hopkins of the Spotlight Sports Network and Spotlight Raiders talk about this, because we're all starting to understand. We're all starting to understand why Ben Simmons is who he is. And listen, I was kind of on that train with trade away Joel Embiid. This thing is not working. It's not working for the two of them. By the way, there have been times where they don't even talk to each other. They don't even go to the games, like travel, nothing like that together. They don't. They you know, and that kind of shows the chemistry and the camaraderie is so broken that it's almost as if it's like it just doesn't work. It doesn't work in Philadelphia. I don't know what it is about Philadelphia sports for some reason, but the town, for whatever reason, it's a hard town. They're diehard of their sports. You can ask Key in the building. You can ask Darion. You could even ask a lot of people that live in the Philly area. It's diehard. They love the Eagles. They love the Phillies. They love the Flyers. And of course, they love the 76ers. But they hate it when they end up, they hate it when they disappoint them. The fans absolutely despise it when their home teams disappoint them. Let me just tell you about all four teams. The Phillies will never get back to where they are because of the fact that they overspent on offense and their pitching staff has not grown in their farm system. They're stuck with that because everybody wants to hype up, Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto and Rhys Hoskins and Gene Segura, Andrew McCutchen. That's great. But can you pitch yourselves out of innings? Unfortunately, they can't. Outside of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, they don't have anybody else. That's just their reality. They're stuck with it. How about the Philadelphia Eagles? Because a lot of people started questioning about, is it the coaching? Is it the general managing? Is it Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz has gone to Indianapolis. And Doug Peterson got fired after the stunt he pulled in the last week of the season. And which, of course, ruined the Giants' opportunity to getting into the playoffs, which maybe that was in the cards. And then Howie Roseman was on the hot seat. And then he made the draft pick that he needed to make, which was Devontae Smith. And it solved every problem. But we don't know how this is going to benefit Jalen Hurts yet. So this next season, they better have everything cleaned up and have their act right, because now you have Nick Sirianni, you've got all these guys, so you better hope that the Eagles do well. Let's talk about the Flyers. Good God, they have they have really, really good core guys. Sean Couturier, Travis Konechny, Joel Farabee, Sean Lawton. And then it took them 5 goaltenders, close to 6, until they finally got Carter Hart, who is the heart and soul behind net for the Flyers, because the Flyers have been hot. They've been cold. They're this whole stock market wave, and they can't stay consistent. And by the way, they have a captain that just doesn't come out of the closet. He's a ghost. Where the hell has Claude Giroux been the last almost 2.5 seasons? He's disappeared. And that's what is going to be the question for the Flyers moving forward. But the 76ers in this position, Joel Embiid, I like the guy, but hardly stays on the floor because of his injuries. And he can produce. Ben Simmons is the most overrated, yet people think he's an all-star. I think he underachieves. What has he really achieved at? All-star nods, big deal. He hasn't even scored double-digit points, let alone in the playoffs. And that was Philadelphia's downfall. Because think about it. JJ Redick, Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, lots and lots of these shooters. All of them were gone. Some of them had their reasons. The rest of them, they just went and just seek different destinations. That's fine. But in the end, Philadelphia is just who they are. This is the reality of the 76ers. You pay Ben Simmons $35 million a year to do what? Quality defense. Great. That's great. But if I'm getting a guy who's only shooting from behind 10 feet 5 times and then shooting for triple singles the whole time, are you kidding me? If I'm Doc Rivers, I'd be ripping him. That's what I would be doing. Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey came over to fix this mess. It doesn't seem like this mess is going to get fixed anytime soon, until they somehow, some way find a miracle just in a snap to getting rid of Ben Simmons. Because, listen, you're going to get production out of Joel Embiid, but you're hoping that he stays on the court long enough. And I thought he had a terrific season, may not have won MVP, but it's been a much more improved season. And then you're talking about Matthias Thybulle, you're talking about Maxey, Seth Curry, lots and lots of these young shooters. And here's what's funny about this, because last year and the year before, they relied so heavily on bigs. Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. They relied on size rather than shooters. And then this year, they had to blow everything up close and then bring in shooters, because they realized what Ben Simmons is. He's not a shooter. And what's worse about this is he can't, won't, and he probably never will shoot a basketball. And it boggles every basketball fan's mind. You're in a league where it's a shooter's league. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, all sorts of notable shooters in this league. And you're getting paid $35 million a year to not shoot? What the hell is that payment going toward? It's like saying that you're overpaying for a sports car that's only going to give you at least one part of it, and then all of a sudden you're going to deal with the rest of it later. I mean, is it really worth the value? It just seems like it's more of a liability than it is of really grandfathering something that's going to get you through the stages of life. Like I'll tell you, I settled for a truck than I did for a car, because truck means I get to haul, I get to, I get to lift it at least a little bit. I can go off-roading. I can go adventuring with me and my dog. That's what I'd love to do. You're only limited to so many things when you're in a sports car or any of that, because you're cruising down the streets. You're cruising down the city. That's great. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's beautiful. But think about it. Ben Simmons has become an absolute liability for, he's become an absolute liability for the Sixers. Absolute liability. Triple singles. Can't really shoot threes. I thought Russell Westbrook was bad and couldn't shoot threes. This is worse. When you get compared to Bol and a lot of other shooters, it just blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. But Daryl Morey has a lot of work to do in this building, but I'll guarantee you, and hopefully Darion Hopkins will, at the very least, break this down for me to where this makes sense, because I have nothing. I've got nothing. This is just who the Sixers are. I mean, come on. You got to be kidding me with this. You're 6'11" and you can't shoot. This is ridiculous. All right, coming up next. There's something that I think is very interesting about this. 2 NBA teams. And I've been talking about this in the last couple days. And I'm finally going to break them all down here live. And I think makes sense. So when we come back up to the break, I will explain exactly the 2 teams in the NBA that I think could make moves in the offseason that might actually catch everybody's attention. And then I'll have Darion Hopkins on here for the Spotlight Sports Network, Spotlight Raiders Talk, who will be joining me, talking about Sixers, talking about Raiders, and so much more. For all of you fantasy gurus up out there, far and wide, coast to coast, you guys love fantasy sports, and you guys also love winning cold, hard cash. Well, there is a place to do that. That is thrivefantasy.com. You can download it also on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. It's a fun place where you could go and bet on so many different pool plays every single day. And we don't want to leave out our gamers out there who love esports. You guys can also bet on that too. When you sign up for your first time and you deposit into their first $20 into your first pool play, use promo code SS Network. That allows Thrive Fantasy to match it up to $50 of your first play. So you get more and more opportunities to win cold hard cash. I think the highest I've seen, you can win up to 15 grand. So what are you guys waiting for? Download thrivefantasy.com on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. Use promo code SS Network. Get your $50 into your first play and start playing today. thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.
What's up, fantasy champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now, with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.
But I know that's just in my mind. I know everything is just in my mind. Do you really want to be famous? Do you really want to be a superstar? Do you really want to get dangerous? Do you even know where the groupies are?
Welcome to Hammer's House.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost an arm and a leg to reach that goal line. It's go time.
Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go.
Oh, man. You know what's absolutely fire? Instead of, the weather up out here in the Vegas Valley, which is really caught up to about 110, well, we've got a lot of cool, hot, fiery merchandise here at the Spotlight Sports Network. Just by going to spotlightsportsnetwork.com and go on in the merch section powered by Spreadshirt. You guys could be looking up t-shirts, hats, hoodies, so much more. I think we also got like sleeveless t-shirts as well. It's something to prepare you guys for the summertime. Rep it up. It's beautiful. But definitely check it out on the spotlightsportsnetwork.com and check out the merchandise section powered by Spreadshirt. All right. Oh my goodness. Well, just a little bit of an update on the score. So far, it's 7-0 Lightning. Oh, Lord. Talk about a punishing game. Shout out to you, Fast Sports Simulation. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We are on the road to 400 subscribers here on this channel. And, man, we're almost close to about 1,000. We're actually 9 away on the network from hitting 900, guys. We are so close. My day's going great, actually, PO time. And, man, did you see my reaction? Oh, I think I barely had a voice left. But, yeah, I was absolutely ecstatic. I broke everything down. And, again, I think this made sense. I think this made sense for the Golden Knights moving forward. It really, really did. All right, so Mal Cooley, this is going to be fun for you, especially for the basketball world. So I've already shared my thoughts on the Sixers. So 2 teams that have been eliminated through the playoffs. There's no lost hope for both of them. They both have really good talents around them. They just got to have the right pieces. So the 2 that I'm looking at, let's start with 1, the Boston Celtics. So first and foremost, Danny Ainge retires, and in comes Brad Stevens into the front office. So he'll be manning everything from the front office standpoint. Now they got to find a new head coach. And what's interesting, what's going on, Blunt in Vegas? What's going on, man? Yeah, I did actually, Ghoulie. I thought it was hilarious, dude. I seriously thought it was hilarious. But what's funny about this, Boston is not a terrible team, but I do feel like they need to clean their mess. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and they've got a bunch of real good players. And here's what's also interesting. Shout out to you, Cincinnati crew. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for subscribing to Mal Gully in the Gully Zone, man. If you're a diehard wrestling fan, well, you're geared up for more wrestling content, man. He's got it all. What's going on, Will? What's happening? But my thoughts on the Boston Celtics is this. They have a good core team. But the problem of it is they relied on Kemba Walker, who's got bad knees and could not stay healthy. And what's interesting is that they traded away Kemba Walker to Oklahoma City, and they get Al Horford to get a couple of other players back. So that's fine, because I thought Al Horford was a real good big for them. But here's what this is opening up for. Now, this is where this kind of ties in to detail. The Dallas Mavericks. Rick Carlisle resigns. Steps out of the place. Boston needs a new head coach. My thought about the Celtics is this. They trade away Kemba Walker for one reason. They gave him a shot. I was honestly on the wagon of, I thought this could work because Kemba Walker needed a new fresh start. Charlotte was not going to give him anything. And it's unfortunate that it took this long, and now having to deal with arthritis on his knees, all these other injuries, could not stay healthy on the floor. And that's the unfortunate part. But trading him away, getting Al Horford and a couple of other picks and players, that's fine. They get their big back. But if you hire Rick Carlisle as your head coach, it's a mixture of old school new school. You see this with the Clippers, with Jerry West, and then, of course, the youngster in the front office. It's a weird franchise, but somehow, some way it works because they're in the Western Conference Final. But my thought is you bring in Rick Carlisle into the building with Brad Stevens. Might help. But the other thing I see this is, don't sleep on the possibility, because there have been rumors about what's going to happen with Damian Lillard in Portland. I feel like Boston could be an ideal destination, but only if Brad Stevens makes the right moves. Because Dame needs help. Dame needs help. He can't do this by himself. And Portland is such a snake-bitten organization that it's gone on for years. Clyde Drexler, great player. Then, of course, you had Brandon Roy. God, I loved watching Brandon Roy play, but unfortunately, injuries caught up to him and then ended his career very fast. Now, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, because Rick Carlisle's out. They got to give Luka something. Kristaps Porzingis was thought to be the help for Luka moving forward. But to be honest, from what I've heard, they don't work. They don't like each other. It's weird. This is all happening behind closed doors. So my thought of this is, because Damian Lillard's he's a hot name right now. And I don't know if the trade will happen or will it ever happen. I don't know that yet. But we'll see by the offseason. They need a head coach. They need something new. For God's sakes, can we please get Mark Jackson back on the map? What is so bad about Mark Jackson? I don't understand this. Let me just tell you something. Mark Jackson was not a terrible coach at Golden State. Golden State decided to move on from Mark Jackson and bring in Steve Kerr. Why? Because the Splash Bros, Clay and Steph, they love to shoot the threes. Steve Kerr was one of the elite shooters of the Chicago Bulls group at that time. Reliable shooter. So it worked. But it didn't mean Mark Jackson was a terrible coach. Look at what happened with Chicago. They had one coach before Phil Jackson came into the mix and introduced the triangular offense. And even he was not bad. The second Michael Jordan came into the league, he was not a terrible coach. It's just that's what Chicago wanted to go with. And it worked. They won 6 championships. Mark Jackson, I feel like you give him an opportunity to come back into the NBA into the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic. Think about how good that resume has to be. You worked with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Imagine working with Luka Doncic. The both of them, Mark Jackson and Luka, are feisty individuals. They're aggressive, they love to compete, and they want to win. Luka is a youngster. He's not a kid. He's played with adults bigger than him, stronger than him at the age of 16 overseas. It's unbelievable watching Luka Doncic like in the NBA in this era. But I guarantee you bring Mark Jackson into the building, Dallas is going to be a completely different group and a different team. And Boston, bring in Rick Carlisle, do whatever you have to do whatever you got to do to make it happen. But I guarantee you that if Damian Lillard comes into TD Garden with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that is not going to be a group to mess with in the Eastern Conference. Joining me right now here on the Spotlight Sports Network via the Global Satellite Network on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by StreamYard, Darion Hopkins of the Spotlight Raiders Talk. I know you're already geared up for your Raiders to start playing, man, but I know you have a lot to say about the Philadelphia 76ers. And listen, I'd love to hear your thought as someone who resides in Philadelphia of how has this been just a Philly thing, apparently, with not just the Sixers, but for all these Philly teams? Because right now it's like you're witnessing the reality of the Sixers. Like, this is just who they are. Ben Simmons, unfortunately, can't, won't, and will not shoot. And he's not even going to work himself to shoot. Like, he had to go to like some sports psychologist to give him some sort of motivation for him to shoot. What can you tell me is really the fork in the road for the Sixers, and how are they going to like literally escalate themselves out of this?
Well, first and foremost, I do want to thank you for having me on your show. It's been a while since I actually been on the Snake Sports Talk Show. You know, but yeah, like shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to everybody that's on the Spotlight Sports Network that's watching from all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, anywhere you watch it from. We do appreciate it over here at the Snake Sports Talk Show and the Spotlight Sports Network. Now, it's not from what Philly is saying right now. They not just want Ben Simmons gone. They want to clean house, even get rid of Doc Rivers at this point. So, and this is why they say that Doc Rivers needs to go for the Philadelphia 76ers. Doc Rivers has the most game collapses in the playoffs, most of any coach in the NBA right now. He has the most losses in Game 7 among active coaches in the NBA. I can understand why with Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers is doing the same thing that he did with the Clippers. Made no adjustments at all for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I don't know if you saw the interview with Doc Rivers saying that they have a plan to fix Ben Simmons' shooting. Ben Simmons is considering changing hands. That doesn't change anything at this moment, because no matter if you switch hands, no matter if you try to fix the shot, the question is, are you going to take the shot?
I guarantee you that the person that could probably say it best, and you know this better than anybody, has got to be my pops. Just because, look, right. I'm not going to sound harsh, but the fact that the right hand ain't working, you got to find a way to make it work with the left hand. But it's if you're willing to put the effort, the work to make it happen. I mean, but it just doesn't seem like Ben Simmons really is the type of person that's willing to set his mind straightforward to make that happen.
I think his mindset is not there I think he's in it to get all-star appearances and not win championships. Even behind closed doors, Jake, I told the Spotlight Sports Network team, Ben Simmons played so well in that first half of the season. I said, yeah, he's playing for an all-star selection. And what did he do? He got an all-star selection. And after that, it's been downhill. This is every year with Ben Simmons. He goes into the summer. You see him on Twitter shooting jump shots, making them, but he doesn't even attempt a shot in the game, in a pivotal game that we need to win.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris had this team, even though Tobias Harris, was not great in game 6, was not great in game 5. He had a quiet 24 points in game 7. Understanding that. But when Tobias Harris is not going, Ben has to be the guy. And what was the epitome of me not being a Ben Simmons fan anymore? And even though I didn't like him, even though when he was coming out of LSU, I had to deal with him because I am a Sixers fan.
Yeah.
But what was the icing on the cake is where if he just would have went up for the dunk, the wide open dunk that he spent off of Gallinari, the game would have been tied. And the outcome probably would have been different. That's what changed the momentum of game 7. When he gave up that dunk and tried to give it to Matisse Thybulle between two defenders, Matisse Thybulle didn't even make both foul shots. We was down 1 and we was down the rest of the game because of that.
Right. And again, I watched that play over and over and over again, and it just does not, it just doesn't comprehend in my mind of what was he thinking throughout that whole course of that situation that escalated right in front of everybody, and all the Sixers fans there, because I could not come up with an answer for it. Majority of the time, you're 6'11". You should be able to dunk this thing. I mean,
this is my thing.
And I'm looking right above you. And
he doesn't want contact, Jake. He doesn't want contact. Even though that Trae Young was right there, even though Trae Young is like 5'8", 5'9" at the highest.
Yeah.
Take the foul. I don't understand. Even though you're taking the foul, at least you're going to the foul to attempt shots.
Right.
Foul shots. Even though he was the most terrible foul shooter in the playoffs of any player in the playoffs at 34%. That's just for a guy that's 6'11". That Shaq and bigger centers that couldn't shoot the foul shots had better percentages in the playoffs than him.
Right. So, and the worst part of it is you're getting compared to guys like Bol, who's had more opportunities of shooting threes than he has in his whole 5-year career. It just does not add up. And it's so unfortunate. And my thought with Ben Simmons when he first came in the league, because the only thing I reacted to was all these youngsters that the Philadelphia 76ers had, whether they were number 1s or number 2s overall in the draft. And every single one of them got hurt the first year. That was a train that, I was like, is any one of their rookies, going to ever be healthy in their rookie seasons? I was kind of scared of that. Because it became Joel Embiid, he gets hurt. Ben Simmons, he gets hurt. Markelle Fultz, he gets hurt. So it was like, how long were they going to ride this plagued train of rookies who come in and they don't even play their first year because they end up suffering an injury, whether it's in preseason or whatnot? It was kind of concerning to me. But then the second Ben Simmons comes back from injury, I thought that there was some sort of potential. I did see defensively he's a real good player. But then when it comes to shooting the basket, and mind you, I got no skills with a basketball. You cannot put a basketball in my hand. But if you asked me to, Jake, sit on the arch, sit on the wing, sit on the corner, or anywhere that's right there on the 3-point line, and you just told me to just shoot, I'm cool with it. I'll work on shooting. And it was never a popular thing. But it's like Ben Simmons in a shooter's league. You got Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Klay Thompson, Devin Booker, all these really good shooters. And then you have Trae Young, who you faced against, who had a horrible game
against us, and we still lost.
Yeah, and it just does not seem like I've already forgotten this whole trust the process thing.
I've been trusting the process.
Yeah. Yeah, but now it's just like you have to rethink the process over and over again. But it's like it doesn't seem he wants to really work on it. It doesn't seem like his mindset is really into it, because I'll know the difference between getting an all-star nod and then winning a championship in the beginning. Because think about it. I know how you felt about Joel Embiid not winning MVP. But look at what happened with Nikola Jokic in Denver. The fact that Denver gets eliminated, they're without Will Barton and Jamal Murray, and you can't put the team all by himself.
Exactly.
So it's like Joel Embiid, okay, no MVP nod, that's fine. I'm going to shoot for a championship. And then it's like some of his most reliable groups. Now, granted, I'm not going to pin it all on Matisse Thybulle or Maxey or a lot, because they're young shooters. They're going to develop and they're going to grow.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Jake, I would prefer. See, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jake. I'm sorry, but this is where Doc Rivers' firing comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
In Game 6, you had Maxey come off the bench and score 16 points.
Right.
Game 7, you barely put him in the game.
Yeah.
You barely put him in the game. And then when it comes to Seth Curry, because I know I'm getting kind of off the top, but we are talking about Game 7 in the Philadelphia 76ers and Ben Simmons. This where the firing of Doc Rivers comes into play. And we talked about this off air too.
Yeah.
Seth Curry was getting cooked by Kevin Huerter, getting scorched. And then when you put Shake Milton or Tyrese Maxey in there, that's a little bit better defenders than Seth Curry, Kevin Huerter went silent. He went quiet. Couldn't make a basket. Right. Seth Curry comes back in the game and gets scorched again by Kevin Huerter. And Seth Curry is starting to remind me of a defensive liability like J.J. Redick.
Right.
That's exactly what it's giving me watching this game. I'm like, why do you go away from what's working?
Right.
That's my only issue. And another thing, Doc Rivers got to be a little bit more demanding coach in these huddles. Everybody want to sit at the 3-point line or the 2-point line. No. Go to the basket and get a foul. Embiid, you 7'2". Why are you trying to shoot threes? And honestly, I love your little, your shot from the foul line. I love the little jab step in the shot from the foul line. That's cool. But sometimes you gotta put that into points where you started dominating that first half.
Right.
And you went to just shooting the ball in the second half.
Yeah. And think about how funny that looks, because Doc Rivers in Boston, you've seen this before, but think about the group when he had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo, and Glenn Davis. He worked everybody on that roster. And it's funny because I'm not going to say that this is completely comparable to the Sixers, but you've dealt with bigs before. You knew how to work them. You knew how to silence every component that the opponent side was giving you, because if, like you mentioned, you have one player that's going to give you problems, switch up Seth Curry and then end up putting in Thybulle, and they get silent. Like, that's one component eliminated, and you look for the next one. Then you got to connect the dots offensively to secure your team a lead. And it just doesn't seem like, I don't know if this is maybe because Doc Rivers is kind of past the time and is starting to slowly erode. I don't know if that's the case, but this didn't happen in Boston. This did not happen at the time in Boston, because Boston was playing harder and they were securing leads any way that they could.
But look at that.
So it just doesn't make sense.
Though. Do we do the between the Boston Celtics when Doc Rivers was there, between the 76ers now? Yeah. Who was really the big three in Philadelphia? There's no big three.
Yeah.
That was the difference in Boston compared to this year's Philadelphia 76ers team.
Yeah.
They had a big three: Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. That was their three. That's why Doc Rivers won a championship. Ever since Doc Rivers left Boston, he never had a big three. He only had a one or two, and he didn't succeed with one or two players. He needs a big three to succeed.
Right. And think about, too, like, because they try to make this work with the Clippers, with Lob City. That didn't end up working out. Then he comes into he comes into a time. Even what's interesting is being with the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and a lot of these guys. It wasn't even a three. It was a whole team that he had to mix. And it's like, They got eliminated, I think, by the second round, and then everybody just mentioned, oh, they're overrated. They're done. And yet, changing it from Doc Rivers to Ty Lue, now the Clippers are in the Western Conference Final, surprisingly, and then you have Doc Rivers trying to make this some sort of a mess in Philadelphia work, but it's never going to work. And it's like, this is just their reality. So until something really happens, because you're paying Ben Simmons $35 million a year to do what? Shoot triple singles? Like, is that really what you're getting paid for?
You're paying him $35 million just to score 8 points in a game 7?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Like, it just doesn't add up to me. So my thought is with this, because I'm sure you've seen this in the group chats as well. Darion Hopkins of the Spotlight Raiders Talk joining me here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. But we talked about the potentialities of Ben Simmons trades.
Okay.
And I don't think, and it's funny because we had like 2 different videos that we watched off the air. The Washington one does not seem realistic, because I don't know what the Bradley Beal situation and all of that. I just don't think that it's going to happen. But call me crazy, but I'm almost starting to lean into the Indiana trade. Now, it may not be as massive, but it's a start somewhere. Because remember, Philadelphia was in a position where they cared about size over shooters. Then they realized, no, that's not going to work. We need to eliminate a couple bigs and get more shooters, because then that's what eliminated the possibility of keeping Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick, and a lot of these real good shooters. Right. So now they're trying to reload back. I feel like Malcolm Brogdon and TJ Warren, they may not be like a potential big 3 type of players, but it's a start somewhere. What were your thoughts on that?
I think Malcolm Brogdon and TJ Warren could come in and be shooters for the 76ers if we do trade Ben Simmons. I just don't see. I see it, but the question is how 100% TJ Warren is after a injury that he had this past season. That's a question. Malcolm Brogdon been off and on injured, but I kind of like that. But it's kind of other trades that I want to get into that I saw. Even though we're not big, me and you're not really big fans of ESPN, but I have to at this moment I have to agree with what Stephen A. Smith said. If you trade Ben Simmons to Portland for CJ McCollum instead of Damian Lillard,
right,
that would be a better move for us when it comes to spacing than TJ Warren and Malcolm Brogdon.
Right.
Because that means you have to defend the 3 when it comes to your guard. Now, you could put Seth at the 1, McCollum at the 2. That's your backcourt. I'm fine with that. And then it was another
have guys like Mateus Thybulle and even Maxey build and learn, come off the bench and even get a few court time from there.
Right. Or even go out to Toronto and go get Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry has been on the trading block all year long.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's in his contract year or not, but I think Kyle Lowry will come in here and bring that Philly grit is what is missing in Philadelphia at the guard position. We need a vocal leader at the guard position. We don't get that from Seth. Seth is more of Seth was not really a starter in Dallas. You know what I'm saying?
Neither was he even a starter in Portland either.
Exactly.
But he's so serviceable behind the line. So serviceable behind the line.
Yeah, he is. He is. But my thing is that I think he came into a bigger role in Philadelphia. He was ready, but he wasn't ready, if you know what I mean. He's so used to playing off the bench instead of starting. I think that's where Steph Curry games come into play as far as being that guy coming off the bench. I think he's better off the bench than he is a starter.
It almost makes it seem like they tried to implement what the Lakers did when they signed Dennis Schroeder. Because the fact of you're going to get quality minutes, you're going to get quality shots, and it's like LeBron doesn't really have to do so much because you're going to get more youngsters up out there onto the court, onto the floor, and somebody who can shoot both perimeter and even on the, on the wings, that's totally fine with me. Of course, the big, not the ripple effect, but the effect behind it is that, yes, you're going to get the shooters because it is a shooters league, but then how stable would a defense be? Now, I do think CJ McCollum really does work on it. And I agree too. I thought you may not touch Damian Lillard, which is fine, right, but you get CJ McCollum because the fact of the matter is you already have a star. It's Joel Embiid. You're gonna rely on your star only if he could stay on the court and stay healthy for a longer period of time. But I think CJ McCollum would give you the benefit to keeping him on the court, but also at the same time be the defending winger that will eliminate those opponents' 3-point shot opportunities. Because think about how the Clippers were doing this with Paul George, Patrick Beverley, and a couple of these other guys. Some can shoot, but the best thing is that they're defending from the wing. And I think that's probably what has been the recipe of success to where they're getting to, they're at this point right now.
So how do you feel about this? Just Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum. What do we add another player into the situation? Y'all might not like this, but I think this will be a great fit for him. I love what he did in Portland.
Yeah.
But go get Carmelo Anthony. Go get Carmelo. Even though that he doesn't play defense, the guy shoots the ball.
Well, and my thought is...
And I feel like if you bring in CJ bring in CJ McCollum and Carmelo Anthony for Ben Simmons and Tobias, I'm fine with that. Even though I don't want Tobias to leave because he's a Doc Rivers guy.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But I feel like if we're going to need somebody to help Joel Embiid scoring wise,
yes,
it benefit us going to get Carmelo and CJ McCollum. But I don't see that happening. It's just something to put out there, to throw out there, to let the people know. It might can happen, but it might not happen.
My feeling about this is that and Gooley, yeah, you could definitely jump on. I think because I think you definitely have the connection to the link, I believe. But yeah, you could definitely jump on for sure, Gooley. My only thought upon this is what if there was a 3-team trade in place where it could involve both Indiana and Portland? Because ultimately, I'll be honest with you, when I look at the NBA, these draft picks don't mean a damn thing.
They don't.
And it's unfortunate because there's no respect for them. And the build upon the process is not like the NFL.
Right.
And it's like, it's kind of taken for granted when it comes to these kids in college hoops. It's unfortunate. But if it saves you up a little bit more space, I almost feel like you could probably put in a small, trade in between. I'd say maybe only just to try to get Malcolm Brogdon in the middle of that. And think about it. Maybe it fits in to get CJ McCollum in one part and then maybe get Malcolm Brogdon in the other. And then you have two guys who can fill in those spots where you have a winger who could shoot and could defend from the wing side. And then you also have somebody who can also shoot but is more specialized in defense than anything else. So I feel like maybe that could be a pretty good potentiality for it, is a 3-team trade between Portland, Philadelphia, and of course the Indiana Pacers. I think that could be a really good, reasonable trade through and through.
It'll be I think that'll be good though. But what's going on, Mount Gooley? What's up, man?
It's good. Just got done watching Raw, but gotta bring my 2 cents in because the sensible Bull fan has to put a certain person back in his place.
Keep it censored. We're on the Snake Sports Talk Show.
I know I'm not gonna swear, I'm not gonna act like a fool, but I will say this. Bulls have shooters. We don't need somebody who can shoot the ball. Oh, really? Now?
Put him in the big box.
That's why Kitty Corner.
He's in the box.
He's in the 5-minute penalty box. Damian, what was the problem with the Bulls this season when they made the trade for Luka? No, like this water bottle. There's no chemistry. Defense is not the problem. The problem is chemistry.
Yeah.
We need a true point guard because as much as I love Kobe White, he's not it. He's a shooting guard playing point guard.
Yeah.
There's a guy by the name of Kyle Lowry who might not re-sign with Toronto. If we can get Kyle Lowry, need I remind you too, Kobe White, we're not going to have Kobe White, Damian. You want to know why? The man got shoulder surgery. We won't see him till January. But no, the Bulls, we don't need shooters. We don't need shooters. Are you freaking kidding me? Luka's a walking double-double. Levine can actually average 30 points a game. That's two options. You still need a third option. Patrick Williams can only average 8 points. And that's his rookie year. It's like the same crap and everything else like that. And that is what drives me insane. Blunted Vegas 702. Reason why I'm out of breath, if you dealt with Damian and his foolishness, you would run out of breath while sitting down too.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of genjutsu that demented Damien seems to be in, or unless if we're in the genjutsu and he's just another one of those outcasts that's up over there and he's just not from this world. But no, I don't know what it may be. But
he's not from Earth. That's for dang sure.
No,
he's not from Earth.
But I'm gonna put it out there, Ghoulie. Like, what if the Bulls do go after Ben Simmons? What if they do put out some trades for Ben Simmons?
You guys really want me to be in a loony bin for the rest of my life if that happens? If they get Ben Simmons, okay, great. You get a great defender, but at the same time, you get to deal with somebody who is scared to shoot the ball.
Right?
But do you think he's scared to shoot the ball because he's in Philly? Don't you think he might need a new scenery?
I mean, hell, you never know. I mean, sorry,
we had tough crowd.
It would be a tough
crowd.
And Chicago's even rougher. Chicago is impatient.
There's nobody like Philly fans, man.
No, I'll tell you this though. Like I'm sure you probably caught my skid earlier about Philadelphia as a whole because it's such a diehard city for their sports. Because listen. The Sixers, you know what their reality is. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons just don't work. And then the second Ben Simmons pulls that off, they're harsh on him. They want him gone. They're burning jerseys. They're doing all of this. The Phillies, they are not going to be competitive to getting into the postseason again until pitching gets fixed. Because outside of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, you have nobody. That's have nobody else. The Flyers, good God. Carter Hart, after 6 goaltenders that the Flyers went through until they finally found their youngster, the kid is great. He's the future face of the franchise. Then you have Sean Couturier, Travis Konechny, Joel Farabee, and Sean Lawton. There's a bunch of really good players out there. And then what sucks about it is Nolan Patrick wants the hell out of Philly because these two, he just can't stand this hot and cold situation. But here's the other thing. Where is Claude Giroux? The guy's been a ghost for at least 2.5 seasons. And for a captain to disappear is just not really good. And then finally to finish, the Eagles. Oh dear God, don't even get me started with the Eagles. The fact that Carson Wentz was pointed the finger with, he's in Indianapolis. Then Doug Peterson gets pointed the finger. Oh, he's fired. And I believe he's coordinating elsewhere. So now all the heat is on Howie Roseman. And what did he do? He finally answered the one problem that Philly's been asking for the last couple of years, and that's getting a wide receiver and the top-notch best. So they're on the hot seat. I don't know if this thing with Jalen Hurts works, but Nick Sirianni now is a new head coach. They got to
Jalen Hurts has to get his confidence back.
Now, I think Jalen Hurts got his confidence back, and I'm gonna tell you why. Yeah. Because y'all people fail to forget that Jalen Hurts did play with Devontae Smith in Alabama. He played in that national championship game. Wish he got benched for Tua, but he played with Devontae Smith, so they already have that connection. Now, as far as the overall city of Philadelphia, let me tell y'all something. Every time somebody comes here, they play like crap. Then they go to another team and ball out. It's been proven. Andre Iguodala, when he was here in Philadelphia, he was the two AIs with Allen Iverson and Iggy. But Iggy was not that guy here.
Yeah.
He went to Golden State and won 2 or 3 championships with the Golden State Warriors. And he goes off. He's good. He's good in Miami. He's good everywhere he went. He was better than he was in Philadelphia. So when it comes to the city of Philadelphia, they want to go out and get those big guys, but you don't want to spend the money either. All 40 organizations got money.
And
I guarantee
Chicago to me too.
The only team that probably don't have money is the Philadelphia Eagles.
And I guarantee you don't want to break down what happened with Jahlil Okafor.
Oh God!
You should never traded Jahlil Okafor. You didn't give Markelle Fultz a chance. You didn't give Jahlil Okafor a chance. You gave neither player a chance. Jahlil Okafor was on his way out before he was on his way in.
Yeah.
Markelle Fultz understand that he did have an injury, but look what he did in Orlando before he got hurt again.
Yeah, that's right.
He was having a hell of a year. But no, we gave up on him so quickly. I just feel like when it comes to Philly sports, you got the money, go get the people that you need. But you want to go cheap and underline stuff. So and that's what you get. You get a product that you don't spend money on. Yeah, you spend money on Tobias Harris. Yes, you spend money on Ben Simmons, and then you overpay you pay for Joel Embiid for his extension. Tobias get his money, but you overpay for Ben. Like, come on, that money could have went somewhere else. Instead of getting Ben, why you didn't get Jason Tatum? Why you didn't get Donovan Mitchell in this drafts? Like, come on.
Right.
The one thing I will also say, you know what, to counteract now with Philly, here's this thing with Chicago. Every time when they win a championship, they break the team apart. Chicago Cubs 2016 broke the team apart right after they won the World Series. And now they're stuck in limbo. We can't pay Chris Bryant, even though the guy is could be in the running for MVP.
And he rejected a $200 million contract extension.
Yep.
That's an organization issue. That's not just a player issue. It's not about the money. It's an organization.
Listen, as a guy that lives here in Vegas, that's half and half with me. That's just me being honest. Because Vegas,
if a guy that played baseball as Chris Bryant give up to $200 million deal, that you cannot tell me that's not the organization's issue. He has a problem with somewhere in that organization. Because if that was me, $200 million, I don't care if I like the GM or not. I'm taking the money.
Hell yeah. But think about it this way, though, is that look at the situation with Bryce Harper. You had an opportunity. Do the math. You are doing 13 years, 330 in Philadelphia, which, mind you, the average is $25 million a year. Okay, $25 million a year, and has a no trade clause until he probably gets into at least by the last 4 or 3 remaining years. And then you have the Dodgers, who offered him 3 years, 180. And out of the 25 you would have got annually in Philadelphia, you would have got 37 and a half in LA. And do the math. Like, it's just like, you know what? If I'm going to play for just 3 years to see where my production is going to be and I'm getting paid top dollar money, like you said, I probably would have went there.
You got a point. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with Bryce Harper at this moment, so...
Neither do
too. Back to with the
it's a Philly curse. We bring big names here. They play like crap. They'll leave, and they have a hell of a year after they leave Philadelphia.
But here's the other thing. What boggles my mind is that after the Phillies won in 2008, like, that was a hell of a group, and then Jason Worth goes to Washington for 7 years. And then they still managed to keep their pitching staff with the late Roy Halladay, Roy Oswalt, Cole Hamels, Joe Blanton, and the list goes on forever. But still lingered on the idea of keeping Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Placido Polanco, all these old players that they're just expired contracts you don't move off of. And I felt like Ruben Amaro Jr. was responsible for that.
Yes, because I feel like with that squad, we could have won 2 or 3 more championships with that squad.
And you had back-to-back, 2008, 2009, but before losing to the Yankees in 2009.
Yep.
And so it just kind of seems like they forgot about building for their future, and they felt like if we win now, then at least we'll go down winning, and then we'll take a couple more years to rebuild to get ourselves back to where we are. And then they're doing this whole thing of getting superstars, and it's not taking them anywhere.
It's just like what's another team? The Blackhawks. They're another team. They won 3.
Lord.
They won 3. I'm sorry, D. We have to bring up the Flyer one. Thank you for breaking our 50-year curse with that. But at the same time, what was it? 2013, 20.
It was 2010, 2013,
2013, and 2015.
Yep.
And here's the problem with the Blackhawks. And now they're finally fixing it. They're back focusing on speed.
Yeah.
They got some guys now who are speedy, but the only problem with the Blackhawks is defense.
And here's the other funny thing. I never understood giving away Eric Gustafson. I never understood giving away Eric Gustafson because Duncan Keith,
he got to go.
He's got to. That contract is so expired.
It's done.
I keep Patrick Kane because the fact that you still have some good numbers. Yeah.
That man lives and dies. And for all these people that say, oh, he took steroids, dude, if you had a broken back with the possibility of never playing again and then came back with the same injured back and carried that team, you've earned my respect. So, you know what, for all these people that say, oh, Patrick Kane took steroids, no, he did not take steroids. It was God-given ability and God-given toughness that won us that last final championship in 2015.
Right. And think about it this way, too. You got Jonathan Taves. Yep. Honestly, I'd hate to say it, but he's got to be the next guy to move out because here's the problem now that Chicago has to realize is that you don't have a true goaltender. I like Malcolm Subban, but he is not ready for that. He's not ready for that.
He's not.
Corey Crawford was already past it. You let Robin Leonard walk and get traded to Vegas, which I was very surprised of. And then at the very least, I hope so too, but I knew that this was all part of the plan because I can't begin to tell you how raging Twitter, the LVR, and everywhere in Vegas was so upset after Fleury lost that game 3. But I told people, game 4, this is all part of DeBoer's plan. Because remember, this was Leonard's 3rd start in the playoffs so far this year. Mm-hmm. And because everybody wanted to reflect on Minnesota's loss and Colorado's loss, that they think, oh, they're going to lose to Montreal. No. What this was doing after Fleury made that mistake, because mistakes happen to the best of us, that it was doing Fleury a favor. That take a rest, reshape and refocus your mind so that when you come back home tomorrow night, which I'm calling, you're in home crowd, it's a barn, probably going to be over 20,000 people inside T-Mobile Arena. It's going to shake 15 minutes from here, from where I live. And you're going to be smiling. You're going to be happy. You're going to have fun. You are going to get that out of your mind. And you're going to close this thing out in 6 games. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. Robin Leonard made sure of that last night. And that is where everybody who criticized, who, kind of downgraded him on Twitter, he thanked him for it. That's the motivation. And that was exactly what they needed because people were freaking out over the game 1 loss to Colorado. And I said, this is all part of the plan because I said, this is experimenting. It's not literally experimenting like we're just going to throw this away and then who knows what we got left in the cards. No, this was figuring out how does that first line of Colorado work so that come game 2, even if it was a loss in overtime, they won 4 straight because they shut down the speed. McKinnon couldn't do squat until the last game, and they outrushed him. That was all part of the plan. So if this plan was Leonard to tie it, Fleury to win 2 straight, I feel like the Golden Knights are high favorites to win the cup because it's a plan in place. It's a team effort. And that's what it looks to be. But for the Chicago Blackhawks, they need a true goaltender, which I'm not sure. They need a lightning in the bottle situation for that to happen. And then get rid of these old contracts, Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith, get younger with Alex DeBrincat, Dillett Strome, Kirby Doc, and a couple of others. Because that's what the process should be.
They need to get some new personnel when it comes to management. And with Damian saying they need Coach Q back,
no, Kindle, no.
Yes and no. But, it is with this. And then he also asked me a question about how I feel about the Bears possibly moving to Arlington. Here's how I feel. Chicago put themselves in this position. Does anybody remember in 2002 when they were, oh God, so stupid, the butchering of Soldier Field? Where did the Bears have to play? They had to go. They had to travel all the way to Champaign, Illinois, the same stadium where the Fighting Illini play.
Yeah,
because they butchered Soldier Field, and the mayor even said it herself. Y'all need to focus on winning games, beating the Packers, and finally giving us a championship that that city deserved since 1985.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. We don't have to worry about this move until 2033. So you have all this time to get at least one Super Bowl out of Soldier Field. At least one. Now, moving the team 35 miles away from downtown Chicago, personally, I don't have a problem with it, but this is what makes me concerned as a Bears fan with it all, is that, Jesus Christ, the McCaskies, and speaking of them, it's going to happen. They're going to sell the team. Apparently, the family came up with they had a meeting in place. They talked to Virginia, and they said, look, maybe it's time for us to move on. And I don't know who was the one that made up that meeting, but I think they were possessed by the ghost of George Halas.
Oh,
oh God.
Because let's be real, ever since his daughter took over, think about it. Ever since his daughter took over, Virginia is a fan, but at the same time, she let her sons took over. George McCaskey, he gotta go. Freaking Ted Phillips, he gotta go. Both of them are accountants. We have accountants running day-to-day football operations. Think about that. And none of these people that come to Soldier Field don't even care about the game of football. Y'all know in the cheap seats, it's like $200 to get in the cheap seats in Soldier Field.
Oh, wow.
The nosebleed section.
Huh.
Do it look like I'm banging a Kardashian to you? I don't got that type of money.
That sounds, hey, listen, that sounds exactly like a nosebleed seat that would happen in Vegas for tomorrow night's game.
And that's the thing that bothers me with the McCaskies. And since they are in talking of selling the team, who would you sell it to? First off, it has to be a real dedicated fan. You can't have somebody that just sits there because the desk is shiny.
Well, and think about it this way, because the Chargers may potentially be in the same boat with the Spanos. And the only person who on his bucket list would love to cross this off would be Amazon's owner, Jeff Bezos. That would be the only guy that would be dedicated to owning a football team. He said it himself. He said it would be the greatest accomplishment to do that. And maybe put in a lot of his hard work and money that Amazon gets every day, every year. And, he disappeared for that one. But at least somebody that's dedicated that will throw in the money for the right reasons.
Right.
Would be my only.
Jesus Christ, boy.
Goalie.
Sorry about that. My phone was acting crazy. When Jake was talking, like my phone was staticking.
Oh. So my thought is that because of how much that Jeff Bezos gets every year, making six figures, and he's dedicated to putting that money towards building a winning culture, no matter where it may be. So Chargers and Chicago might only be the two destinations that I'm sure Jeff Bezos got his eyes on, but it's only depending on which one's going to sweeten the deal even more. And who knows?
That's the thing. Like, if you really think about it, the McCaskey should be running the Hamptons than running a football team.
Yeah.
If you only care about the money.
Oh, go ahead, Gooley. If you can finish that real quick. I just want to put something out there, but go ahead, Gooley.
That goes the same for the Ransford family. And here's what I think about them. Now, do they need to sell the Bulls? Yeah, ever since that documentary of The Last Stand, they have to. Freaking low management. And also, but here's the thing, that where does that put, oh, Damien, you're going to love this. Where does this put the White Sox? Because remember, Jerry owns both teams, the Bulls and the Sox. I think Jerry Ransford would literally keep the White Sox and probably let his son, even though I think his son is taking over for the Bulls. Because to me, Jerry's more of a baseball guy than anything. Because let's be real. I mean, you have to have some connections to have Michael Jordan not only to retire, but also to go to the White Sox as well. So he never really left Jerry.
Right.
But here's the thing about the Ransford family. I wouldn't say they're cheap. I wouldn't say that they're hands-on owners either, because here's the problem. If they were true hands-on owners, Gar Forman and John Paxson would have been fired after when Derrick Rose got hurt. Or better yet, they should have gotten fired when they fired Scott Skiles on Christmas Day.
Jesus Christ. I remember that day too.
And I was so mad. I was like, yay, I'm about to play SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Scott Skiles got fired. I cried. I cried on Christmas Day. And my dad said, what's wrong? And I said, Dad, they fired Scott Skiles on Christmas Day. Why would they do such a thing? And my dad was like, well, he couldn't, words couldn't even describe. My dad couldn't even find the comforting words. Until he said, there are some people, that's corporate America for you. It can be a cruel, cruel mistress. I've never forgiven Gar Forman and John Paxton to that day. And that's when I knew they're going to screw this team and run it into the ground, and the Ransford family's not doing a thing. Oh, we made to the playoffs. Hey, we beat Detroit. Hey, we beat this. We beat that. The one thing, and then also Gar Forman, his decision-making in the draft. You picked up Tony Snell, and we could have gotten Draymond Green. We could have gotten, need I remind you, this is where strike 1, 2, and 3 came for Gar Forman for me as a fan and his job as GM. You drafted, he just retired. I can't think of his name. He played for the Spurs.
Who, Greg Pop?
Not Pop.
Tim Duncan.
Not Tim Duncan. No. This is LaMarcus Aldridge. You had LaMarcus Aldridge, and you traded him. You traded him for Tyrese Thomas. Imagine if that trade didn't go down, and imagine this scenario. Imagine this, y'all. Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Luol Deng, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Joakim Noah. We would have won
That's interesting.
2 championships. At least 2. But nope. Tony Snell. Who did you pass up? Draymond Green.
Cooley's going off right now, man.
Jordan Bell.
Oh, yeah.
He is going Chicago ham on us tonight.
You traded your first round pick for money. What was that pick? Jordan Bell. And Jordan Bell got a ring his first year as a rookie.
But before we go any more into Chicago Bulls, I mean, I'm done talking about Philadelphia. Philadelphia's in the shithole right now. Sorry to curse, but I'm just saying. But just want to let y'all know, starting tomorrow, Spotlight Sports Gear will be having a 15% off on all merchandise from the 22nd to the 24th. So I did put tank tops up there. I will be putting 4th of July t-shirts on there. And on 4th of July, it will be 20% off for Spotlight Sports Gear. So I wanted to throw that out there. Like, make sure y'all go out and support everybody that's on the Spotlight Sports Gear website.
Yes.
If your favorite podcaster, we would love for you to show support and then send us pictures so we can post it on the Spotlight Sports Gear Instagram at SL Sports Gear. So I want to throw that out there. And before I head out, because I know it's getting late on my end on the East Coast, and I knew you wanted to talk to me about the Carl Nassib thing, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes, and I'm actually glad that you brought this up. And my question is to you: are you also? Did I hear you were doing the Western Conference Final tomorrow between the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns?
Yes, I will be doing that live play-by-play in reactions for the Western Conference Finals only on the Spotlight Sports Network. Y'all do not want to miss that.
And you don't want to end up missing game 5 between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Montreal Canadiens here in Las Vegas, Nevada, 15 minutes away in T-Mobile Arena. It's going to be a packed house. We're going to be having live play-by-play commentary. God, I love this. Because it's just like both of us in our commentary. Spotlight is
and
just
Gooley just finished doing Hell in a Cell yesterday. Hopefully, I can't wait for him to get back to his hangout live streams to talk about his Bulls, his Bears. I can't wait for him to get back to those so I can be in the chat.
Well, you're just in luck because tomorrow is the NBA lottery, and I have a lot at stake with this because somebody just mentioned it. I think it was Iverson Vlogs. Here's the thing. Remember, we traded we did a pick swap with the Orlando Magic. So, but here's the kinker. If the Bulls, oh God, we got a 20% chance to have a top 4 pick. If the Bulls get the top 4 pick, that trade with Orlando is null and void. So in other words, we fleece the Magic, we keep our top pick if it's top 4, and well, hopefully we get Cade Cunningham to Chicago, maybe.
Oh Lord!
That might be a possibility.
We got to do a live hangout for the NBA draft. We got to do it.
If it happens, if the Bulls, personally, the Bulls need a point guard. That's why I hope they get Kyle Lowry, or better yet, try to make an attempt for Damian Lillard. Even though they're gonna ask for Levine.
They're going to ask for the whole world to get Damian Lillard. Come on.
That's true.
But the thing is,
they're going to ask for a lot for Dame.
But if that be the case, then you have to get Kyle Lowry. Either Kyle Lowry, Lonzo Ball, or Derrick Rose. One of those 3. And also draft a power forward in the draft. Because number one.
Is power forwards even allowed in the NBA anymore? Jesus Christ. We got power forwards shooting from half court now. Like,
here's the thing.
Is it actually a real power forward in the NBA in today's game? I don't think it is.
There's not.
There's really not. Well, let's think about this because is there truly a real center in the league? Because I know that there are a bunch of bigs, but they kind of play like power forward. So I think honestly, to kind of reiterate,
center slash power forwards is what you call them.
No, we got like that. Yeah, we have centers playing point guards. Vuka, Joker, they're playing like point guards.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing like point
guards. Water, but I need to be like them.
And you know what the cool part is? You know who started that? Joakim Noah started that.
Oh, Lordy, yeah.
No, he was the one. Remember, centers.
No, I do.
Yeah, he was the one that started it.
Because for God's sakes, you could not rely on Carlos Boozer really for anything except for just playing the defensive help. But either way. Hey, that's just speaking facts. Every time when I look at Chicago, they're always a good defensive team. That's what they're known for. Yep. But the offense just couldn't get nowhere. And it was weird. When
your offense is like 90% Derrick Rose, that was the problem.
Yep. Yes.
All right, so what was the question you had for me, Jake? Because I got the question for you. It's almost 12 o'clock on my end.
So the question for you is, and this is because as for someone who is a big time supporter and an advocate for the LGBTQ community, Now, I know that this has been quite the story because it's blown up everywhere, but I never saw this as something new to me. We've all seen this with the Michael Sam situation with the then St. Louis Rams. But here's my thing. One, in business and in friendships and any type of relationships with anybody, my thing is I will never, ever criticize anybody. My thought is, as always, you bleed the same color I bleed is red. You are a human being to me, regardless of your preference, race, culture, religion, all of that. I try not to speak so much of it because all three of us know as professionals how the social media world can get. Because sometimes it's like some things can get wish-washed and then we have a bigger issue. But my thought about this is with Carl Nassib. I would have never pictured the guy really like in his preference to be like that because one, I just see him from his football stature. Right. He's a big guy, strong, and I would expect him to get to the quarterback busting through the line. But here's my question to you, because as a Raider fan, and what's difficult about this, because we saw this with Michael Sam with the Rams. Now, the Rams were kind of a toss-up. This is the Raiders we're talking about. The Raiders, as you know, since they were a franchise, are the rebels of the NFL. The NFL just hates the Raiders. They're more of punch your face, stomp you on the ground. They're a hardened type of franchise. You see this everywhere. For this news to get out, I mean, Raider fans, majority of them, very rare, have they really kind of crossed their minds and really comprehended with the news? Because I just don't seem like majority of Raider fans were really used to this. So all of this, not backlash, but responses and all these things on Twitter and social media and all over, as someone who has the experience with both sides, where do you kind of really lay on with Carl Nassib in this position? Because the only thing that was questionable to me was at the very end when he said, I'm a private person. Well, if that's the case, why not keep your private life private? Because listen, social media, I get it. You want to show off pictures. You want to show off all this other stuff. Great. That's fine. But I won't let social media ever control my life, because my thing is, it's my life. Why would I want to be connected with the internet? What does the internet really have to know that, or do they have the time, place really to want to know? So what was your thoughts up on that? And like I said, for someone who's experienced this, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts, I was actually in shock. Because now he's the first gay NFL player under contract on actually 53-man roster. Now, Michael Sam, he did break the barrier coming out of the draft, knowing that he did get drafted by the Rams, didn't make the team, signed with the Cowboys, didn't make it that far. I feel like when me and Hammer did the live, if you did not watch the live on Spotlight Raiders Talk, make sure y'all go check out that live. Me and Hammer went off on a lot of people in the Raider Nation when it comes to the groups and when it comes to Twitter. It's 2021. You don't know who's going to be gay, who's going to be bi, who's going to be straight, who's going to be trans. You just don't know. You just don't know. Even though a lot of football players come off as muscles and masculine and everything of that nature. But just because you don't look gay doesn't mean you're not gay. And that's what people get it confused, because everybody, you hear the word gay and you think everything is flamboyant, everything is girly, everything is this. You gotta look a little bit feminine. No, it's a lot of masculinity guys, even probably in the NBA on a DL, that probably is gay. It don't want to come out yet. Jason Collins finally came out a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? And Jason Collins was a private person too, but I feel like when you're a professional player, I think you want to live in your truth as a professional athlete. You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like, as me being a professional football player myself and coming out the way I came out, to y'all.
Yeah.
I had to live in my truth, even though that I am a private person.
Mhm.
Behind closed doors, out off the field, I am a private person. But it will be eating me up inside to play a sport and not live my truth playing that sport.
Right.
So that's why I feel like Carl Nassib was like, it's about that time, and he gave $100,000 to the what is it called?
It was one of the foundations for the LGBT.
Yeah, it was the Trevor Project.
Mm-hmm. The Trevor Project. Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't get it out for some reason.
Okay, you're talking about Magic Johnson's son, Damian.
Well, Magic Johnson's son is a totally different aspect than what Carl Nassib is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because Magic Johnson's son is a flamboyant, feminine gay man, possibly transgender in some ways.
Right.
Possibly. I haven't seen him in a while, so I don't know. From what I did see in the past, he was very feminine, flamboyant. But Carl Nassib doesn't come off that way. You don't know how many people in the NFL that might want to open the doors and let come out gay or come out bisexual or come out queer. Mm-hmm. This is a stepping stone, and people need to take it in a positive note. And I feel like the Raider Nation didn't do that, because I know the Raider Nation has one of the craziest fans in the world. Like, they are diabolical, they are degenerate, they are everything under the sun when it comes to. You think Philly diehard fans is the way they are? Go to a Raiders game. That's all I'm gonna say. Go to a Raiders game.
Should we do a top 5 of the most craziest NFL fan bases?
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh yeah,
because number one, it could go to the damn Raiders. I thought the Packers would be number 1, but
or the Steelers.
After that, I was, oh god,
the Raiders. When the Raiders play at least the Broncos or the Chiefs, you'll always see a Raiders fan fighting a Broncos fan or a Chiefs fan. You'll never see a fight break out at a Chargers game. You'll never see that.
That's very rare. Yeah, that's
very rare.
That's very rare.
But when it comes to Broncos and Chiefs, oh yeah, you'll see a Raiders fan fighting. But not to be off topic. But I commend them. The Raiders did tweet out, saying that they was proud of him of coming out. They put it on their Instagram. A lot of NFL teams probably wouldn't do that. Even Roger Goodell came out and said, knowing that we don't like Roger Goodell as a commissioner anyway, but the fact that they threw it out there and ESPN and all these other stations commended him for it, that's a good thing. But my question is, are they really doing it because this is Pride Month?
So see, that's
my
the
thing.
Other thing that, and this is the other thing I couldn't.
The Raiders as an organization, or all these other people will say this if this wasn't Pride Month,
right? And here's the other
publicity.
But that one answer pretty much was what I was going to bring up, because here's the thing. Well, for whatever reason, we all went through COVID last year,
right?
And it changed a lot of our mindsets, and it changed a lot of, I wouldn't say the whole part of our lifestyle. I mean, it did make us adjust to having to take a step back, maybe rethinking and looking ourselves in the mirror of where are we in our lives and where do we want to be at in the near future. We had to take a step back, but it just kind of seemed like ever since then, there's so much cats that's getting out of the bag, and it's, and I don't know if this is because, like Gully had mentioned, is this a publicity stunt? Like you mentioned, is it because it's Pride Month? Or is this something that, because people are coming out with so much stuff and they're asking for so much back in return? Like, did you really lose that much during COVID? Like, that's the part. It's a validation question for me, because we don't know. Anything could come out in the middle of the mix that we may see one thing, but then something else slides out into another. That's the only thing, is just the validation.
I don't think he will put out a 1 minute video and then put out 6 other paragraphs stating that he's gay to make it a publicity stunt.
Right.
If it was just like a video on his story, on an Instagram story saying that he's gay, mind you, it's like a what? 50 seconds story, if I'm not mistaken. But he put out a 1 minute video putting it out there. And I feel like even if he is gay, it doesn't matter. The guy is the guy
Let him
restructured
play
his
football.
contract. He restructured his contract to stay with the Raiders. Number one. Number two, he was always a rotational player with us. So it's not like he's a star defensive end or star defensive lineman, but he is a part of the Raiders organization. And if I'm a Raider fan, I'm going to support it. But we have those Raiders fans that, I'm not gonna be a Raiders fan no more. I'm gonna burn his jerseys. You was never a Raiders fan from day one.
Right.
Period. So, and I threw it out there on my channel. If y'all watch that 30-minute live stream with Hammer House, we let it be known. Like, if the NFL is going to go through this, they gotta keep doing this, not just for Pride Month. And mind you, I wasn't even talking about Carl Nassib. Is he doing this for Pride Month? It's the NFL. It's the ESPN. It's the rest of the social. It's the rest of the and it's sports
like
media world.
And it's like they have to get themselves accountable, like just as the whole league itself. Like they got to get some type of accountability with the fact that this happens not just in one organization. Could potentially happen with all organizations within the league, and they have to take some sort of accountability step into where they're not fixing or doing anything else like that. They're just kind of peeping themselves up out there that, listen, we're putting this all up in writing that one, we are big time supporters. We are very happy of the fact that the player is speaking out in full honesty and is comfortable in his own skin. I don't know about you guys, and I may not have the right words to say this or something like this or kind of to explain it, but isn't it interesting that it's changed over the eras of life, that we not just see this in sports, but we see this in everyday life? The fact that it took us this
people. It's just there are people in this world that just won't accept someone the way they are. If the LGBT community, they will never accept it, and that is the problem with so-called. You know what? I'm going to say it, Jake. You're probably going to censor it out, and you know what? You got the right to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about these. God, I hate being political gooey, but these racist, redneck, goddamn Trump, whatever, Republican, whatever. It's to the point like, okay, we're not. We can't accept him. Okay, he hugs and kisses other men. Society is the problem. Social media is the problem. It's a virus. People are viruses, and that's why I'm like, Darion. I personally, I told my mom this, and she busted out laughing. But she said, "Boy, you don't want to do all that." I said, "Ma, I'd rather be a hermit with a goldfish and be happy than to deal with people."
Exactly. And I think Carl Nassib knew what he was doing when he made the video. He was like, it just gets to a point where you build yourself up to a point. It's just like you holding this all in, and maybe he feels relief now, even though that the backlash he's going to get because what society gives.
Right. Well, and here's the thing: we'll know that come the preseason. We'll know that come the preseason. Because think about it, you got the first game against Seattle at home, and who knows how the home crowd is really going to react to with the fact that I'm hoping it just goes by smoothly. I really, really do.
And I just really hope the Raiders keep him as well, because even though that he's under contract, he was on the bubble coming into this season because of what his contract was. But I just really hope the Raiders keep him and don't cut him because he's gay. Cut him because he could not perform on the field.
Right. It should be stuck. Right. It should be stuck to the football aspect of things.
Exactly.
It really should. But and that's probably what reverts back or retracts to explaining it this way, because one, you live a private life for a reason. Like this is my thing. I want to live a private life because social media should never have to control my way of living. whether I live at or what I do or any of that. It should not. And I would hardly care less about what people say or think of me because one, the only person that can really stay true to myself is me. And I'd much rather be enjoying weekends, being out by the lake or being right up out in the mountains, snowboarding, fishing, hiking, doing all that stuff, living a private life. You know who's a perfect example of this and people don't think about it? Who's now the official part owner of Dallas FC is Matthew McConaughey. People don't think about this, and I just read his book. He is probably the most down-to-earth spiritual person I would have ever thought of. I never thought of that in my entire life.
You would never know.
I would have never thought of that until I read the book and he explained it himself. And he's probably one of the most intriguing, interesting, down-to-earth person you would ever meet in your life. Lived a private life. And there was paparazzi. There were people that were trying to invade his private life. And there were small town people that just said, you better turn away.
Right.
Don't even invade his spot. So in a situation like this with Carl Nassib, which one, I
guys,
congratulate him.
Head out because 5 o'clock is slowly coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Go to bed, bro. You know you got to get up at the crack of dawn.
But we appreciate you coming by, Ghoulie.
Love you guys.
I love you, bud.
And I'm going to head off in a few minutes, too.
Yeah, and my thought about this is, long story short, is I congratulate Carl Nassib for one, having the relief that it got that feeling off of his chest. That's a great thing. My hopes is that I hope that the Raiders don't think like this, that some organizations beforehand had thought like that, even with the Michael Sam situation. Now, granted, Michael Sam's situation was the fact that think of where he was coming from in the draft. One, he was coming from not a popular school in the SEC of Missouri. Okay, think about it. We watched Drew Lock, and we already know the Denver Broncos are done with Drew Lock. Right. I mean, he was an absolute reach. So it's hard enough to really kind of compare it with that. But with the Carl Nassib situation, one, I think he's a really talented player. I don't think he is even a waste of a contract because I do think he can play. He's built for this. Right. And his personal life is his personal life. Keep it private. Absolutely. Right. But
even though that you came out as gay,
yeah,
still keep your private life and who you dating or whatever. Keep that personal. And I think that was the difference between Michael Sam and Carl Nassib. If Carl Nassib is dating someone right now, don't show. I mean, if you want to show who you're dating on your social media, that's up to your discretion. But if you want to keep your private life of every move of you or your partner does, no, don't do that. Right. And that's what I think that was the issue with Michael Sam, is that even though that he got drafted, he still kissed his boyfriend on live television in front of millions during the draft. And, it kind of ruffled a few feathers, on national television. But at the end of the day, before I close it out, people just need to be a little bit more open-minded, especially the Raider Nation. Yes. They think that because a gay man comes out and he plays in the NFL doesn't mean he can't play football. I totally disagree with that. I played with a few gay men in my time, and I had no issue with it. Listen, if they want to be gay, let them be gay. Every gay man is not going to be like, oh, I'm raising the flag and raising the rainbow and all that. No, every guy is not like that. Some guys are gay and just don't, support they support what the LGBT community, but they don't wear like the rainbow stuff and the extra stuff.
Right. So, they're not going over the top with
exactly
with And that, and honestly, that's honestly the way that it should be played out. Make it more of a curiosity more than it just being something that gets thrown out and then becomes an obvious, and now people are just like, oh, okay, they're running their heads over. They have no idea how to really comprehend with it. So you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, congrats. Glad you feel better. Keep it private for yourself and hope that things really do work out. And then in the organization standpoint in the league is, one, be aware of it, yes, but also handle this in the best way possible. Because one, we knew the fans, even for Raider fans, for as long as I've even watched football and have seen fan bases, nothing compares to the Raiders. The rebels of the NFL, they're hard, they're tough, they're just in your face. That's a tough fan base, really. So I give Carl Nassib credit for that, because that's a tough fan base to really just do that and then leave it to the fans however that they were going to react. So I give him that, but we'll see what the season brings up for him. I still do think he's a talented player. I think he's got a lot of potential to show for this defensive front line, especially with now having Yannick Ngakoue and a lot of others. But I think it'll be interesting. But one, we'll see by preseason. We don't want to get into the season,
Training camp starts July 27th. We'll see about that and see what happens. If Carl Nassib can stay on this roster because of his inability to make the roster as a player instead of him being a game man. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I appreciate you coming on by, Darren. It's always a pleasure for you. And I do appreciate you touching upon the subject for someone who has experienced this, who had at least the best words possible to really just give your best explanation on it.
Right.
And I hope that even people that are currently live watching this, or even some that may turn around, that this can be something where it's not just for Carl Nassib's life and his experience, but even for experiences from others who have dealt with this and how they felt through it and where they sit at today. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the Spotlight Sports Network has always been a unique network. It's
very unique, diverse too.
Yeah, very diverse, and one without judgment, without anything. Everybody's their own character with their own preference, and is very innovative, and I'm totally in for it. So, you know what I mean? So that's probably something that could impact others nationwide, maybe even internationally. So
Blooded Vegas 702. If you don't know what's going on with me, I'm not a gay man, but I'm a transgender man. So that's why I can understand from where it comes from in that aspect. Yes, I am a transgender man, and I'm very open about it. If you don't know what a transgender male is, I was born female and transitioned to male. That's what it is. That's why I know so much about the community. I'm not gay, but I'm a trans.
But it was it was definitely, like you told me off the air, how tough and difficult the situation was. Even when when ESPN came out with that documentary with, and not lingerie football at all, with the women's football, which I thought, because for one, you've played in it, you've had years of experience in it, you had so much fun in it, and what it meant to you and even to women nationwide, how big that this community and the league itself was.
Yeah.
And and I thought that was an amazing moment, that the fact that they brought this into a documentary.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm happy that people got to it now as another women's football league. Hopefully I could get some players to come on your show, Jake. I know a few players that's still playing, even though I don't know how they playing with my old bones. I'm fully retired. I'm fully retired out of playing football. But I do have to head out, but I do want to thank you for having me on. And
absolutely.
And I appreciate it, bro, but I do got to head out. I got to get up at the crack of dawn, work on these segments, know. I do behind the scenes stuff before I do the live play-by-play tomorrow.
Absolutely. And of course, I've got play-by-play. You got to get ready and geared up to be nighting up tomorrow night, man, because Game 5, I'm telling you, it's going to be energetic. It's like I'm going to feel the ground shake 15 minutes away, right next door to Allegiant Stadium. So it's going to be crazy in T-Mobile Arena. But again, always so much fun, entertaining, and just best times talking with you, man. I hope you have a great night, sleep well, and don't work too hard, but we'll definitely do this again for sure. And
absolutely, we're going to bring the Spotlight and Snake Sports Talk Show back. We're going to bring that back. We just gotta find time with all these live streams, man. We gotta find time.
Damn right, I know we do. It's crazy. It's crazy times, and it's hot times, especially here in Vegas, being 120. But
Facts.
nothing's cooking like what we've got going on in the Spotlight Sports Network. We've got 9 subscribers left, guys, to hitting the milestone of 900. And when we do, we now need to hit 100 more to get to 1,000.
Yep.
So
help us.
Let's make
there.
it happen. Let's make it happen, guys. All righty, man.
All right,
Have a good night. Take care of yourself. Rest up, and we'll see you again soon.
All right, brother. Holla at you.
Absolutely. Always good talking with Darion Hopkins of the Spotlight Sports Network and with the Spotlight Raiders talk. But he's absolutely right. The fact that, and I don't touch upon this subject so much, especially even in this show or in segments elsewhere, because not a lot of people, and again, I hold myself accountable for one. I always have to, because whatever the subject, situation, or matter may be, I'm not perfect, but I do want to express my thoughts, my perspective, and observing. I always observe the room. I guess you could kind of say it's a mixture of introvert, extrovert type of person. That's just who I am. In certain places, in situations, in wherever I am in my life. That's just how my mindset has always worked. But it helps so much knowing that there are people who may not have the similar experiences, but do experience in different ways, to really touch upon the subject. One, I'm very happy of what Carl Nassib did. Don't get me wrong. I really am. But of course, there are certain things in life where, one, if you are in control of your life, where media doesn't control you, the fan bases don't control you, society doesn't control you, you're living a great life. You really are living a great life, because the only one who really should be the captain of your soul and in your life is you. That's the way it is. My thing of it is, I am the captain of my soul. I live my life. I live for today. I'm 26 years old, but I do look for accountability, guidance, and so much more from the man upstairs. And that's my personal life, because one, it's not a religious base. It's a strengthening relationship type base. And that's where I try to manage it the best way possible. I'm not perfect for this, but that's where I have the best group possible and the best the best support group that I could very much be able to ask, and out of curiosity, out of just getting info, just getting as much info possible to stay current, and even to just change some things. Because one, society changes every day. Technology changes every day. There's parts of society that still stays the same. And I hope that the changes come, but that's up to society to make that happen. And until the curtains are lifted, then that's where we'll see the real change. But until then, it's a completely different era and world that we live in. But I'm acclimating to the change as much as possible, because I live and I learn. That's the way that life is meant to be. But other than that, it's been a great showing. Mal Gully of the Gully Zone coming on with me, Malcolm Bean, Darion Hopkins of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and of course the Spotlight Sports Network. He's been a part of this network and started this thing since 2016. And to see the successes that we've gotten through here in 2021 has been an absolute blessing. And I'm hoping that we continue this very strongly and reach our goals. So I'm very happy and excited, and I can't wait for what else really is to come for the time being soon. But I appreciate every single one of you guys for being upon here, and I hope that there was a lot of lesson learning, and even some that you guys may have taken from the show and parts of the segments of the show, because that's what it's all about. Learning something new every day. And that's why we talk about it. I share my thoughts. may not always be accurate and I may not always be perfect, but I see what's there. I trust my gut and I trust my instincts to break down every sports related topic possible. And that's what it's all about. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being a part of it here on the Spotlight Sports Network on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Game 5 between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Montreal Canadiens is tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be doing the play-by-play calls. And then we've also got the Western Conference Final between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers, where our own Darion Hopkins will be doing commentary there. So Spotlight's going to be busy in the next couple days, but I'm excited for it. I can't wait. But I hope you guys all have a great night. Be safe, be healthy. For those in the Vegas Valley, keep yourselves hydrated. It's hot out there. I know it because I work in it every day. But I hope all of you guys have a great night. Be safe. Have a great night's rest. And we will see you guys next time on the show. Take care.